Welcome to the Chad Show. And this is the inaugural episode of OverReactions. This time I'm going to be coming at it from 10,000 foot view. And I'm going to be reacting to a discussion off of PNS today where a guy came in asking questions about some optics. And there's a bit of an interesting exchange between himself and the mods. A bit of reactionary statements were made. And so I think I'm going to just delve into this now for my inaugural attempt at this whole overreaction thing. So just bear with me here as I muddle my way through this. Now, I'm not outing this guy. Yes, his name's on there because it's on the website. Hopefully you go there, or the group on Facebook. It's the primary and secondary page of the primary and secondary groups. Mr. Ethan Dolan here. He popped in with his outstanding profile pic. It is so good. They look so happy and so beautiful and loving that they might as well have come with a picture frame. I wouldn't be surprised. So Mr. Happy Ethan here came here and he had a issue with an optic. He said, okay, LPVO 0 range. I think he means low powered variable optic, which would be a LPVO, not a real ding. He says he has two rifles in 5.56, a 16-inch gun with a 1 to 10 on it, and an 11 to 5 or 11.5 inch that has a 1 to 6. He's asking, he already comes in with his own bias, asking, would we zero them with a 36 or a 50 yard? Realistically, he says that the 11.5 would be a 200 yard gun, and the 16 would be a 400 yard gun. And then he follows on with an edit saying, specifying that the reticle's a Gorilla Dot BDC. I believe that's a Swamp Fox. I don't have any hands on, not salient to this discussion whether or not I have hands on with that specific optic. But I will go back to things I do know about. 11.5 inch gun is not a 200 yard gun. That thing's just getting warmed up. A 16-inch gun is not a 400 yard gun. It's whatever gun you need it to be that day. He doesn't need to limit himself to only 400 yards based off of barrel length. I've shot a lot further with mine. In fact, I got a 16-inch gun behind me that's a 780 some odd yard gun, verified. Now, how this devolves in discussion is when he starts getting feedback to his questions, be it with more clarifying questions, seeking more information, figuring out what he really needs it for, what he's thinking, it starts getting real catty real quick. And what people need to understand is that on a site like, or group like PNS, all these mods have been brought on because they bring something to the table, and most, if not all of them, are considered by their peers subject matter experts. Not in everything, but of certain specialties. There's a lot of career and experiential overlap between these moderators and admins. Where that overlap ends and the individuals stand out is where they are coming from. You have guys that are military, you have various branches of the military, you have guys that are law enforcement, maybe even both, and you have guys that are pure competition shooters that are maybe a mechanic or whatever. I don't think we have any plumbers, but anyway, that doesn't matter. What we have here at PNS is a group of people that are there not because they're being paid to do this. We're there because we find value in helping people. And if we can help people from making the same mistakes we have made or we've seen countless students make, then that makes the next guy's job a little bit easier, and they can they're advanced in that training opportunity with this potential student. They don't have to retread old ground. They can build more effectively with that student. So we have all these guys there that are trying to field questions and help people out and keep things manageable and keep the noise down, keep the clutter out, and provide salient, cogent advice and data. That's who's coming to answer your questions. So here we have Steve Fisher. You might know who he is. If not, look him up. He's been around the training game a very long time. Steve makes a statement. Opening statement is 36 yards, 0 is ignorant. I'm sorry to say. Okay, I'm not sorry. That's a totally Steve statement. That is 100% factual. He said it as a platitude. He really didn't mean it. Do you have the ability to confirm what ammo, what optic height mount? You'll be better served with a 50 or 100. Boom. That's all the information he needs to know. But he doesn't know Steve, so there's going to be some tit for tat. And there is. He comes back a little defensive, and this is natural. This is very natural in these exchanges. What makes it ignorant? Some of the videos I watched, and this is a lot. I'm not going to read every post in this. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. All right. There's a lot of important information in this first response, and we need to pay attention to what people say and get past emotion and see what they're actually saying. Give them that blank slate for a minute. Yes, what makes it ignorant? It sounds like he's being defensive. From some of the videos I watched, big clue. And playing with reticle and Strellock, it looks interesting. I never heard about it before today. He has range ability or availability, and he gives more information on what the optic is. It goes on. You have another guy, this Ian dude, another military guy with a ton of experience. And I'm not talking about just carrying a pack up and down mountains. Both Marine Corps and Army side, he's done a lot of training. He's done a lot of curriculum development and like really push the ball forward with optics integration and just straight up shooting within the Army where he's at. He provides information. We have Mike Lewis, another career Army guy, did a lot for the Army with their training, modernizing and updating their basic rifle training to more advanced stuff. Actually designed zeroing tool for the Army. Knows a little bit about training too. He replies, we also have instructors from all over the world, not just different branches, but different continents. Like Tor here. Tor, anytime Tor posts, I make sure to read it twice because he does not put crap out. He is highly intelligent. He's probably got a 14-pound brain. In fact, if he ever likes or agrees with one of my posts, I take a victory lap around the room. So we have Tor, we have Steve again, Easter Day, another instructor, newer instructor, but he's been real busy with it. So he's riding that learning curve, that wave, and it's a good place to be. It ends up being a lot of back and forth, and the guy is apparently he comes off quite defensive of his choices. Now, I refer back to that initial post, that initial response, that very first response to Steve, where he just got this stuff. He's figuring it out. So first date jitters, right? And then he watched some videos. He's been playing with the nap. So there's a whole lot of falling in love on the first date and immediately super defensive of those decisions. To the casual reader, the passerby, that's a very human trait, but that's something we need to try to work to get past. We can all be that way, but we need to realize hey, this is something new. I'm asking for help. If somebody tells me I made a bad idea or a bad purchase, or I'm listening to the wrong people, let it wash over you. try not to be too affected by it, and try not to fire back at the people there that are not taking any money out of you to give you their advice. It's worth it. It's worth it to you to just listen because you're not paying anything. Weigh it, see what the other guys are saying, vet them, and vet what they're saying and try it out. And if it's right, guess what? Somebody just handed you something of real value for nothing. Anyways, here's a real salient post from Ian. And I'm just going to read it real quick. I'll pull it up on the screen for you. But he says, sometimes I feel like folks are on here asking for advice, but then argue with the replies. Other times I feel like folks blindly take other people's, even the BDC info provided by the manufacturer, information as gospel. It rarely is. Oh, there's C more too. Oh, cool. It rarely is. The solid answers that you have been provided typically include some variation of shoot your weapon optic ammo combo, see the reality, and make up your own mind. Play with your food and season to taste, but it's all countered with mental masturbation and digging heels in. It's like buying a used car and ignoring the Carfax because the seller told you everything is perfect. That would be ridiculous, right? Go get your ballistic facts and trust it. Trust your ballista facts, folks. That's great. Trust your ballista facts. It's that confirmation bias. And then people come off as what we call assholes. They want to ask the question, but they don't care for the answer if it doesn't confirm their prejudice, their predetermined result or their decision that they've already made up in their mind. They're just looking for that confirmation that they're right. A lot of people are like this. Now, the only mortal sin that old Ethan really committed here, and it wasn't mortal, but it was bannable, was that he didn't like the information he was getting and he turned off the commenting. Now, that's a hole in Facebook, in that whole platform, that he was able to do that within the realm of a group, right? That you could come and say all this stuff and then, psh, right? Anybody could have, right? Well, admin came in, Landfair, and told him don't turn off the comments and turned it all back on. I'm glad he did. Now, he got in this discussion here, and it was like more of a three-way discussion, at least three-way. Another guy had commented about the optics using the Gorilla Dot, and he's just asking why he asked about any zero distance other than what the PDC is designed for. Good, honest question, right? Now, Mike came back with a BDC only matches a certain load at a certain velocity. It will be pretty close across most of the board, but this is just a fact. If one knows the subtensions, there is zero issue with using different zero. What Mike's talking about is going out and ballistically proving your combination, your cumulative accuracy, what your gun actually does, and then building your own ballistic chart, your own dope, knowing where at specific yard lines or meters, where your holds are at within that reticle using those various subtensions. It might not be what's published or intended by the designers of that optic and reticle, but it's still 100% workable. We do that all the time. It's literally an industry standard practice. So anyways, there's this discussion going along in here, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth about Strelok and how to use it. These screenshots are from Strelok. Tor joins in about being a second focal plane. That's its own ball of wax. Y'all can read about it. Mike starts dropping nerd JDAMs on this thing. And Mike knows what he's talking about, man. He really does. He's done his homework. The real question about those earlier zeros that he was asking about is that those distances, 36 yards, was intended for a specific platform within the military confines, so everybody has the same stuff, shooting the same ammo, shooting on the same ranges, and that they can have one hold for their second point of convergence, meaning their true zero would be at 300 yards. They want that for maximum point blank range, blah, 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 blah. Baseline shooter is lowest performance training or level of training, can pick up the gun, hold center, and he'll get hits all the way out, right? That's not for you. That's not for you. If you can go buy your own stuff and pick it up and tweak it, whatever. The problem with that 36-yard zero is if you held right here on the face and you're at 50 or 75 yards, guess what? You got a high miss. Like egregious miss. Like there's significant ballistic offset. Once it hits apogee and starts returning, dude, it's up there. I think it's like 9 inches or so. It is redonkulous. It really is. And like the 25 is even worse. When we were running the 25-yard zero still at State Department with M4s, with EO tags, we were having to, within just 100 yards on a qual, we're having to teach multiple points of aim just to keep everything in the scoring area on the ISI target. And then we started pushing that 50-yard zero, and guess what? Hold center, guys, you're good. And everything was in there. That they did their part. On your worst day, if you don't have good range estimation, if you hold center, will you achieve workable hits? Good, solid hits, center in the high thoracic. Yeah, I was using the face and the head shots, but that's just a good measurement for the nose, for the sight height. That's why. That's why you listen to dudes that know what they're talking about. Go with 100 without any magnified optic, unless it's something really weird, like shooting a sloped base on a big boy rifle, shooting extreme long range, like canted base, like 20 MOA or whatever. Then you can get into some weirder or more specific zeroing criteria. But this is just our initial point of convergence. And beyond that, we need to true it at the second point of convergence and then come back to our initial point of convergence and see what it truly is for point of aim, point of impact, so we know. But that's getting into the weeds. That's all been covered in this thread. And I'll bring back my sweet face. So I hope y'all got a little bit out of this, of my overreaction. It was more of an over as in 10,000 foot looking down, or at least from the cheap seats. But understand people are coming from different places. But whenever you go to a specific place for information and they have moderators or whatnot, and they're providing you information, just hit the caps lock and take it off the big letters back to the small letters about yourself, and just be like, all right, what do you have to say here? I came here asking you for help. I'm not going to be an asshole and just get pissed if I don't like the answer. Thank them for their time. Go out about your day. If you don't think it's valid, if you don't think it's valid because it was just different than what you thought coming in and you didn't go out and test it, or if you couldn't empirically say, no, you're wrong because I already know this and this is why, those are two different things. Two different things. But if you just bought some guns, you just bought some optics, you just downloaded an app, you watched some videos within the 24 hours prior, somebody comes up and says, you're coming about it wrong, and you haven't even tried it yet, don't get mad. They're giving you correction before it really becomes painful. They're trying to give you correction before you make some dial changes, before you send one round down range. Hey, no, if you do it this way, it will be better. But do it for yourself. The hard expenses are over. It just gets more expensive from there. So you can not listen to it and try it and fail, or you can listen to them, take some hints from guys that have been doing it for a long time. And it might save you some money and some pain and some frustration and some embarrassment. Again, nothing against this Ethan guy. This is a learning opportunity. So once again, thanks for joining me for my inaugural episode of The Chat Show. Overreactions. I'll see you next time.